If your brain feels exhausted all day, but the moment your head touches the pillow, something inside your body suddenly feels different. Your chest feels strangely aware. Your body keeps searching for another position. Your mind stays lightly alert for no clear reason, and deep sleep never seems to fully happen. You've probably noticed this becoming more frequent after 60. Some nights feel calm for a few minutes, and then your body suddenly wants to move again. One side feels uncomfortable, then the other side feels wrong too, almost like your brain refuses to fully settle into sleep. And this is where most people become confused, because most people assume this is just part of aging. But what's happening inside the brain at night may have far less to do with age than people think. In many cases, your body may be reacting to silent nighttime signals that quietly keep the brain from entering full recovery mode. And once this cycle begins, something even stranger starts happening next. You've probably experienced nights where your body feels unusually aware of itself. You lie on one side for a few minutes, and slowly something starts feeling uncomfortable deep inside the body. Not exactly pain, not exactly pressure, just a strange sensation that keeps pulling your attention back toward it. And the moment you adjust your position, another sensation suddenly appears. Sometimes it feels like a subtle tension spreading across the chest. Other times, it feels like your breathing never fully settles into rhythm. Your body keeps shifting without you consciously deciding to move. Your legs adjust, your shoulders tense slightly, your neck searches for a more comfortable angle, and your brain stays quietly alert through the entire process. Think about how many times this has happened without you fully noticing it. You close your eyes expecting rest, but your body continues reacting underneath the surface, almost like something internally refuses to let go completely. And even when sleep finally arrives, it often feels light, interrupted, incomplete in a way that's difficult to explain to other people. Then the next morning arrives, and the exhaustion feels different from ordinary tiredness. Not just physical fatigue, mental fatigue. Your brain feels slower than usual. Simple thoughts require more effort. Memory feels less sharp, and focus disappears much faster throughout the day. Many people describe this as feeling mentally drained before the day even begins. You wake up after several hours in bed, yet your brain still feels unrecovered. Your energy feels strangely flat. Your motivation drops earlier in the afternoon, and small stressors suddenly feel heavier than they should. But here's the strange part most people never connect. These symptoms often begin during the night itself. And this is where things become deeply confusing for many adults after 60. Because some people improve their routines completely. They avoid caffeine, they sleep earlier, they reduce screen time before bed. And despite doing everything right, their brain still wakes up exhausted the next morning, which raises a much bigger question most people never think to ask. For some people, sleeping on the left side feels calmer at first. The body seems to relax more easily for a few minutes. Breathing feels slightly smoother. The chest feels less tense, and it almost seems like the brain is finally beginning to settle down. But then, something strange quietly changes during the night. For others, that exact same position creates even more discomfort. A strange pressure slowly builds inside the body. The chest starts feeling unusually noticeable. The shoulders tense without warning, and the mind becomes more aware of every sensation happening internally, almost like the body is trying to communicate something silently, and most people never fully understand why this happens. Some people notice the discomfort immediately after lying down. Others only notice it after drifting halfway into sleep. Everything feels normal at first until the body suddenly wants to move again. One position feels wrong, then another position feels worse, and the search for comfort quietly continues throughout the entire night, even when the person barely remembers it the next morning.
Think about how many times this cycle repeats itself without clear answers. You keep trying to find the perfect sleeping position, a better pillow, a different mattress angle, a different side of the bed, and yet your brain still wakes up tired and strangely overstimulated. And the harder people try to control the problem, the more aware they become of every sensation in the body.
This is where the real conflict begins to appear, because the body may not actually be reacting to the position itself. It may be reacting to what the brain starts interpreting during sleep. Subtle pressure, internal tension, breathing shifts, changes in nighttime body awareness the conscious mind never notices directly. And once the brain begins monitoring these signals, sleep changes completely. Almost like the brain refuses to fully let go during the night. Not fully awake, but never fully relaxed either. A state somewhere in between rest and alertness. And this is where things become much more interesting than most people realize, because what happens next inside the body may explain why so many adults after 60 wake up mentally exhausted every morning, even when they believe they slept through the entire night. I'm Dr. William Harris, a sleep specialist, and over the years I've worked with countless adults after 60. One pattern continues appearing again and again during the night. People describe strange body sensations they cannot fully explain, pressure that moves, restlessness that comes and goes, a brain that feels tired all day but unusually alert at bedtime. And most assume this is simply part of getting older. But many nighttime reactions people blame on aging are actually hidden sleep response patterns happening inside the brain and body. Not random discomfort, not imaginary symptoms, and not simply bad sleep the way most people think. These patterns often follow specific nighttime triggers the conscious mind rarely notices while falling asleep, yet the brain continues reacting to them for hours. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming sleep problems only begin after they wake up. But in many cases, the disruption starts long before conscious awareness appears. The body shifts slightly. Breathing changes subtly. Internal tension increases just enough for the brain to notice. And that's often where the cycle quietly begins. Many adults describe the sensation in almost identical ways. They say something feels off once they lie down. Not painful enough to explain clearly, but noticeable enough to keep the body from fully settling. And the more they focus on trying to relax, the more sensitive the brain becomes to every small sensation. Almost like the nervous system starts monitoring the night too closely. And this changes the quality of sleep entirely. What makes this even more confusing is that standard sleep advice often doesn't fully explain these reactions. People improve routines, reduce caffeine, sleep longer hours, yet the brain still wakes up exhausted the next morning. Because the issue may not be simply how long someone sleeps, it may involve how the brain interprets the night itself. And once the brain starts interpreting certain nighttime signals as disruptive, a deeper pattern can begin forming underneath the surface, a pattern most people never realize is happening, one that quietly changes how the body reacts during sleep, not through fear, not through conscious thought, but through an automatic internal response the brain activates on its own. And this is where the real mechanism finally starts to appear. This isn't random, and your body is not malfunctioning during the night. In many cases, your body is reacting exactly the way it was designed to react. That's what makes this so surprising for many adults after 60, because what feels like a sleep problem on the surface may actually be a hidden protective response happening inside the brain, and most people never realize this while it's happening. During sleep, your brain continues monitoring the body the entire night, not consciously, but automatically beneath awareness. It tracks pressure changes, breathing rhythm, circulation patterns, and subtle shifts in body tension while you sleep. The brain also monitors something even more important: internal safety signals. Signals most people never think about during the night, because while the conscious mind tries to rest, another part of the brain keeps evaluating whether the body feels stable enough for deep recovery. And when something feels slightly unusual, even in a subtle way, the brain may quietly change how deeply you sleep. This is why some people suddenly become more restless at bedtime. Their body keeps adjusting without clear explanation. Their chest feels strangely noticeable against the mattress. One shoulder feels tense. Breathing feels slightly different on one side, or the body keeps signaling the urge to reposition again and again. Not because something dangerous is happening, but because the brain has started monitoring the night more closely.
Most people completely misunderstand this reaction. They assume their body is failing them, or they blame stress alone, or they think they simply can't sleep like they used to. But here's the interesting part. The brain often creates lighter sleep intentionally when something feels even slightly off internally. Not to harm the body, but to keep the body more alert to possible discomfort signals. And once this pattern starts repeating night after night, the brain can slowly become conditioned to expect disruption during sleep, even before obvious symptoms fully appear. The body becomes more reactive, sleep becomes lighter, mental recovery becomes weaker by morning. And this is where a much deeper nighttime mechanism begins revealing itself, one that most people have never heard explained before. What you're feeling is something I call a night mismatch. A night mismatch happens when the body and the sleeping state stop feeling fully synchronized. Not dangerous in the traditional sense, but unfamiliar enough for the brain to remain partially alert during the night. And this often begins so subtly, most people never realize the shift is happening in real time. They only notice the exhaustion the next morning, and by then, the cycle has already repeated itself for hours. Think about how quickly the body reacts when something feels slightly off at night. You reposition without fully waking up. Your breathing changes subtly. Your shoulders tighten for a moment. Your chest suddenly feels more noticeable against the mattress, and the brain quietly starts monitoring the body more closely, not through conscious thought, but through automatic nighttime surveillance happening beneath awareness. And when this night mismatch begins, your body sends what I call a body flip signal. This is an internal response designed to push the body toward adjustment, not because something catastrophic is happening, but because the brain no longer feels fully settled in its current sleep state. The signal can feel like restlessness, a subtle urge to move, or the sensation that no sleeping position feels completely right anymore. For some people, the body flip signal appears as pressure in the chest. For others, it shows up as tension in the neck or shoulders. Some people suddenly need to turn over repeatedly throughout the night. Others feel an unexplained need to stretch or reposition their legs. And many wake up without realizing how active their body remained during sleep. But the brain notices every one of these reactions. Here's the part most people never connect. The body flip signal often begins before conscious awareness appears. Your body reacts first, then your brain follows, which means many nighttime disruptions begin underneath awareness long before you fully wake up. The body senses something subtle, the nervous system responds automatically, and the brain slowly shifts away from deep restorative sleep. Over time, this can train the brain to expect nighttime instability even when no obvious problem exists. The body becomes more reactive to small internal sensations. Sleep becomes lighter without clear explanation, and the brain stays quietly vigilant through much of the night, almost like part of the nervous system never fully powers down anymore. And this leads directly into another hidden layer most people completely overlook, because the body flip signal is only part of what's happening inside the brain during sleep. This is why some people suddenly experience reflux during the night. Others feel unusual pressure building on one side of the body. Some notice tightness spreading across the chest after lying down for several minutes. Others describe a strange breathing discomfort that is difficult to explain clearly. Not severe enough to feel like an emergency, but noticeable enough for the brain to keep monitoring it in the background.
And the longer the body stays in that state, the harder it becomes for deep sleep to fully activate. Many people think these reactions happen randomly, but the body is often searching for a position that feels safe enough for recovery sleep. That search may continue all night without conscious awareness. The shoulders shift slightly, the hips adjust against the mattress, the neck changes angle repeatedly during sleep, and the brain quietly keeps evaluating whether the body feels stable enough to fully relax. Most people never notice how active this process truly becomes overnight. Think about how often you wake up in a different position than you fell asleep in. For many adults after 60, this movement is not always random. The body may be responding to subtle internal discomfort signals throughout the night, signals connected to pressure, breathing rhythm, circulation shifts, or changing levels of muscular tension beneath awareness.
And once the brain begins expecting these nighttime disruptions, something even more important starts happening internally. The nervous system can begin maintaining a lighter state of alertness before symptoms even appear. Almost like the brain starts preparing itself in advance, not fully awake, but never fully surrendered to deep recovery sleep either. And this hidden anticipation changes the entire sleeping process, even when the person believes they slept for enough hours. This is one reason many people wake up mentally exhausted despite sleeping through the night. Their body remained subtly reactive for hours underneath awareness. The brain kept monitoring internal signals instead of fully disengaging. Recovery sleep became fragmented in ways impossible to consciously remember. And by morning, the effects quietly appear as brain fog, slower memory, reduced mental sharpness and emotional energy throughout the day. But here's where things become even more surprising. The brain may continue reinforcing this nighttime alert pattern over time, meaning the body can become increasingly sensitive to small internal sensations during sleep, even harmless ones. And the more this cycle repeats itself, the more difficult it becomes for the brain to fully trust the night again, which leads directly into the next hidden piece almost nobody talks about. Because the real trigger behind a night mismatch may be far more subtle than people realize. This is why trying harder to sleep often makes the situation worse instead of better. The more attention you place on the body at night, the more sensitive the brain becomes to every internal sensation. Breathing feels more noticeable, pressure feels stronger, small discomforts suddenly feel impossible to ignore, and the nervous system slowly shifts into a state of nighttime monitoring even while the person believes they are trying to relax. Many adults after 60 unknowingly enter this cycle every single night. They lie in bed hoping sleep will finally happen naturally, but instead, their awareness keeps returning to the body over and over again. They notice the chest, the shoulders, the pressure against the mattress, and the brain quietly begins scanning these signals more intensely. The body keeps reacting throughout the night. Small adjustments continue happening automatically during sleep. The brain keeps checking whether everything feels stable enough for deeper recovery, and each subtle reaction reinforces the cycle even more. Not because the person is doing something wrong, but because the nervous system has learned to remain partially alert at night. Almost like the brain no longer fully trusts the sleeping state itself. And this changes the architecture of sleep underneath awareness. Sleep becomes lighter without the person fully realizing why. More fragmented, more sensitive to movement and internal sensations. The body drifts in and out of deeper sleep repeatedly. Recovery becomes incomplete. Mental restoration weakens, and the brain spends more time monitoring than truly recovering overnight. Most people never consciously notice this process happening. They only notice the consequences the next morning. The brain feels foggy and unusually slow. Mental clarity disappears faster throughout the day. Energy feels flat even after several hours in bed. Memory becomes less reliable. Focus weakens during simple conversations or daily tasks, and emotional resilience feels lower than it used to, almost like the brain never fully reset overnight. What makes this even more frustrating is that many people blame themselves for these symptoms. They assume they simply need more discipline or better routines. But the deeper issue may involve something happening automatically inside the brain during sleep itself, a hidden cycle of nighttime reactivity most people never see directly. And once this cycle becomes deeply established, many begin searching for ways to help the body finally calm these nighttime responses naturally, which is where another important piece of the story quietly begins to emerge. And this is exactly why some people began searching for ways to help their body calm these nighttime reactions naturally, not to knock themselves out, not to force the brain into artificial sleep, and not to ignore what the body may be signaling during the night, but to help the nervous system feel more stable before sleep even begins. Because once the body flip signal becomes repetitive, many adults notice their brain starts expecting nighttime disruption automatically, and that pattern can quietly intensify over time. Some people tried changing pillows and mattresses repeatedly. Others experimented with sleeping positions for months. Many focused only on falling asleep faster, but the deeper issue often continued underneath the surface. Because the problem may not simply be how quickly someone falls asleep. It may involve how safe and stable the brain feels during the night itself. And this is where certain nighttime support approaches started gaining attention, especially among adults dealing with persistent mental fatigue after sleep.
Instead of forcing sedation, some doctors began focusing on ways to support the body's natural nighttime calming process. Approaches designed to help reduce internal nighttime tension signals, support deeper physical relaxation, and help the brain feel less reactive to subtle discomfort during sleep. Not by shutting the brain down artificially, but by helping the body reduce the body flip signal naturally over time. And this difference became extremely important for many adults after 60. Because as the brain ages, it often becomes more sensitive to nighttime disruptions that younger people barely notice. Small changes in pressure, breathing rhythm, body tension, circulation shifts during sleep. All of these signals can begin affecting nighttime recovery more strongly with age, even when the person believes they are sleeping normally. This is why some nighttime support methods became widely discussed among sleep specialists, not as miracle solutions, but as tools designed to help the body remain calmer and more stable during sleep, especially during periods when the brain becomes unusually reactive at night. Many adults after 60 reported fewer nighttime awakenings, less restlessness, and mornings that felt mentally clearer and more restorative over time, which naturally raised even more interest around these approaches. There's more information about one of the most discussed nighttime support methods in the pinned comment below, particularly for adults after 60 experiencing repeated nighttime restlessness and mental fatigue. Because once people begin understanding what may be actually happening inside the brain at night, their symptoms often start making far more sense. But here's the surprising part most people still don't realize. The body flip signal itself may not be the true root of the problem. It may actually be the brain's response to something even deeper happening during sleep. And that changes the entire way this issue should be understood. If this has been happening to you, your body is not failing during the night, and your brain is not broken. In many cases, your body may actually be trying to protect your sleep the only way it knows how. That's what makes these nighttime reactions so misunderstood, because what feels frustrating on the surface may actually begin as a protective response deep inside the nervous system. The problem is that the body flip signal can remain active night after night. The brain keeps monitoring subtle internal sensations during sleep. The body keeps reacting automatically beneath awareness. And over time, this can prevent the brain from fully entering deeper restorative recovery. Not because the person is weak, not because they are imagining symptoms, but because the nervous system has become conditioned to remain partially alert at night. Many adults after 60 spend years blaming themselves for this exhaustion. They assume they simply don't sleep well anymore. Or they believe feeling mentally drained every morning is now normal with age. But the brain does not randomly choose lighter sleep without a reason.
Something underneath the surface keeps interrupting the sense of nighttime stability. And once people begin understanding that, their symptoms often start making much more logical sense, especially the strange feeling of never fully recovering overnight. Think about how many mornings begin with the exact same pattern. You wake up physically present, but mentally still exhausted. Your memory feels slower, your energy feels incomplete, and your brain struggles to reach the clarity it once had after sleep. Almost like part of the night was spent staying alert instead of fully restoring. And in many cases, that may be closer to the truth than people realize. What's important to understand is that the brain can sometimes relearn how to feel safer during sleep again, especially when nighttime instability signals become less intense over time. This is why certain calming nighttime approaches have attracted so much attention recently. Not because they force sleep artificially, but because they may help the body stop overreacting to subtle nighttime signals. And when the body flip signal begins calming down, many people notice their sleep starts feeling deeper and more restorative naturally. But here's the part almost nobody talks about openly. The body flip signal itself may not actually be the original problem. It may only be the brain's response to another hidden nighttime trigger underneath the surface. A trigger most people never notice consciously, yet the brain reacts to it over and over again during sleep. And once researchers started looking deeper into what creates a true night mismatch, they uncovered something surprisingly different from what most people have believed for years. And that discovery changes everything about how nighttime brain fatigue should be understood.